they don't.
The only thing is they don't mind training it, but one of them to show up. Is it like it's locked? It's like well, it's but it works out fine.
They won't be in the party late. You're a wonderful person. just was looking at it, and it was like, it went down to $149. And I was like, everybody's raving about it at $249. The reviews are fabulous, you know? So, and the bad thing is now, it's not discontinued, but they don't have it. And there's no ship date or anything like that. It comes from Vietnam. So, anyway, but it's, even if the one chair goes, whatever.
Get another one.
But she found two of them at the store. She was trying to get a hold of one of the stores. The problem is, my feeling is they're a set. And if they got a good set, they're not going to Kelly goes, there's only one more day of the show.
Hi, nerds. How are you tonight? Everybody always gives you a chance to like answer again. Like I say, how is tonight? No, tell me. But I'm not gonna do that because in life you get one shot. I'm not gonna meet you otherwise. Welcome to Nerd Night. Start by introducing Nerd Night bosses, and then I'm going to tell you what Nerd Night is, what you're doing here, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about how Nerd Night got started. It's a beautiful story, a journey that we're all going to go on together. Starting off, I'm Jandrea, Nerd Night boss. It makes me feel so powerful, this mic and the word boss put together. That's Emily. And usually Carl is here, but Carl got caught in the snow and he abandoned us.
Oh, he's coming.
He's coming. And this is Nerd Night. And what is Nerd Night? Nerd Night is once a month, third Wednesday of the month, 3 speakers, information you never knew, and a whole bunch of beer. Because learning is more fun when there's beer involved. Carl explained it to me. It's like Discovery Channel, but with beer, making it better. But before we start Nerd Night, I want to tell you about how it all began, how we all got here today. Okay, so Nerd Night began in Boston at a bar called the Midway. And this guy, whose name is Chris. And Chris drank at the Midway all the time. It was bad. So he drank at the Nerd Night, he drank at the Midway and told his friends all about stories from his research far away in Cameroon. Because Chris was an evolutionary biologist, and every fall he went to Cameroon to study the indigo bird. The indigo bird, beautiful bird, adorable bird, actually, evil bird. I know, can birds be evil? Yes, they can be evil. So this bird, so the indigo bird, is a parasitic bird. And so what it does is it comes and it lays its eggs in a different bird's nest, so that then, when the indigo bird is born, it pushes the other eggs out of the nest. The bird has come and built its own little home, put its little babies inside of it, and this indigo bird comes and puts its babies inside, and then they do these squats, which is amazing. Look at that thing go. Can you squat like that? I can't squat like that. And he squats, watch him. You start to cheer for him after a little bit. You're just like, yeah, do it. That's what I look like when I go to the gym. I'm just like throwing myself around like that. So he would go there and he would study the indigo bird, this very mean bird, and then he would come back to the Midway, and then he would meet his friends one by one. And they would be like, Chris, how was your trip? And Chris would tell them these great stories about being in Cameroon. And it was one for everyone except the poor bartender. Because every night, night after night, he heard Chris's same story about the same bird. So eventually, the bartender is like, Chris, I mean, if you have a partner, you understand this phenomenon. Like, you have heard the same 7 stories about his high school career, like over and over and over again. I'm looking at you, Tiger. So, if I could, I would be like, can we all get together and just hear about how you and Blake hung out in high school one night for the rest of our lives? I'm not allowed to do that. But at the Midway, they were like, Chris, you come one night a month, we'll give you your own night, tell everyone your story about the birds, and then we don't have to hear it again. And that's how Nerd Night was born. Chris got to come, and he got to tell his story. And the bartenders got to hear about something else. And then Chris was like, what if there are people in this world that have non-bird stories, but also want to get all their friends together and tell them about their passion and their obsession. And that is where Nerd Nite was born. So Chris starts this in Boston, and then Chris has friends, a lot of them. One of them is Matt, and Matt is this really great trivia host in New York City. So he has all of these people that are coming to his trivia, and Chris keeps being like, Matt, drop the trivia. Everybody is doing trivia. Instead, use your trivia hosting skills and start a Nerd Nite in New York City. So at first Matt's like, no, no, and then Matt's like, all right, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna be a Nerd Nite boss. And so Matt starts Nerd Nite. And now, all over the globe, 95 Nerd Nites here in Minnesota, southern Wisconsin, in New York, all the way down there, look, in Buenos Aires. Awesome, Nerd Nites are everywhere. But I know what you're asking. You're sitting there, asking yourself two things. When will this woman stop talking? And second, how did it come to Winona? Great question, on both accounts. How did it come to Winona? Well, Carl has a friend, Michelle, and Michelle knows Matt. And so Matt pulled Michelle into Nerd Nite. And then Michelle went to Ithaca, she went to Cornell, and Michelle's really cool. Michelle is a veterinarian, and a vegan, and an animal rights activist. And then she met Carl, who also loves animals. Mostly he loves to eat them. This is Carl wearing a bacon costume. And that's why Carl should be here always. So they differed on some things, but they met and they had common ground on nerdiness and on beer. So they founded Nerd Nite Ithaca. And then Carl left Ithaca, went to Germany, left Germany, oh, that's where Germany is, left Germany, got a job here in Winona. And there are things about Winona. Two, one, it never stops snowing in Winona. I need something inside to do. And two, beer is cheap in Winona. We have snow, we have beer, and we have a bunch of people that know about cool stuff. So Carl Carl wanted to learn and have beer. So Carl pulled in Emily. Emily has experience with Nerd Nite in Madison. And then, I have no experience doing anything, but Carl found this picture of me wearing a blazer. And blazers make people seem legitimate. So then he asked me. And here we are. This is our third Nerd Nite. And this month, we are teaming up with Midwest Music Fest. Go out. April 27th, April 28th, be there. We've already had one really, 27th, 28th. We've already had one amazing round of Midwest Music Fest. Make sure you don't miss the second one. One of our speakers tonight was supposed to be, I know, that's how I feel. That's how Emily and I spent all afternoon. Because Raina is based in Minneapolis. And she can't come because it's snowing. And she was like, maybe I can, maybe I can. But then Raina's really amazing because she asked her friend who owns a trucking company whether or not it was safe to come to Winona in the snow. And then she forwarded us the email from the trucking company, and the trucking company was like, it is not safe to go in the snow. I pulled my trucks off these different routes. So that's what I did. Matt's basically my boss. I was like, Matt, I'm not preparing for my class today. More or less, I'm checking out these trucking routes. That's how I spent my afternoon. So Raina can't be here, but in its place. Sometimes there's sadness in life, but sometimes sadness leads to great things. And so in its place, should Carl ever arrive, we are gonna do our first Nerd Nite trivia. Yes. And it's gonna be trivia featuring Midwest Music Fest artists. We play the song, you name the artist, then you get a prize. That's gonna be great. And I hope Carl comes, because if not, it's just gonna be me playing acoustic covers of Salt and Pepper songs. I don't know how it's gonna go. So Raina will be here tonight, but we get to play trivia, and then Raina's gonna come another time. So it's gonna be great. And instead, we are gonna start our first speaker. He's hanging out there, making me sound great. So our first speaker, Jim Choate, owner and operator of the PA system. He is the owner and the operator. He could have caught me off at any time. He has the power to do that, and he didn't.
And he's gonna talk to us.
Rude, Jim, rude. So Jim is going to talk to us about the sounds of music, how to make live music and obnoxious women sound just right. Give it up for Jim.
I don't have any cool slides like I guess. I'm Jim. I'm actually an introvert, so this is a little awkward for me.
Eat the mic.
Well, so the first sound guys out there were actually architects, and if you go into the greatest music halls there are, they're natural amphitheaters, and I can talk this loud, very quiet, and everyone in this room could hear. And
You're not in a room like that.
yeah, I know. So, yeah, a little bit of history of. Oh, it's fine. I get. Yeah, this thing just has to. Sorry.
I can show you, Jim.
Well, the point is learning to project and learning how to balance a sound in a room like this. Part of being a sound guy is, has a lot to do with compromises and dealing with challenges of a room like Ed's. Because a space like this wasn't made for live music. This was made for drinking. You know, go into a recital hall, you can hear a very quiet flute, or a piano player can just lightly touch any key, and you can hear it throughout the whole room. In here, even as I'm projecting loudly, it's difficult for people to hear everywhere. And so that's where, and actually, it all kind of came together at the same time in the middle electronic age of like the mid-50s when these things started showing up. And, you know, guitar players like it loud, so they'll... And, you know, you think about the Beatles trying to sing, you know, I want to hold your hand. Well, this is going on. Those two things don't go together, you know. So you started to see PA systems at that time that didn't involve the instruments at all, really. They were just vocal public address systems. That's what PA stands for, public address. And so let's gain this microphone up a little bit now so you can hear me. All right.
There, now you can hear me all right. Okay, so I don't have to talk as loud anymore. But you know, that demonstration is everything, because again, originally those rooms that are made for large concerts are awesome until you get these kinds of instruments in there, and then you're trying to deal with, you know, this going on in the background, and you gotta have singers that know how to project into a microphone so that you can still hear them over the top of their electric guitars. And so people say, like, why does it have to be so loud all the time? Yeah. No, the thing is, things like these guitar amps only work at a certain volume or they sound like garbage. And so you have to get a little something out of them. But, you know, like this, it's just not exciting. It's hard to, without all the extra juice behind it, you know. So I'm going to put this down. That does not conclude the awkward portion. It's going to keep being awkward here, for me at least. I don't know about you guys. Okay, so part of my job as a sound guy is to try to create balance and try to make, well, especially the human voice sound natural, because right now, all of you are listening to my voice, and our ears are really good at picking out things that don't sound normal. So right now, as I get in here, you can hear that it sounds really boomy, right? Well, there are tools that I can use to help get rid of that. Or you can see as I move the mic away from my face, it gets quieter, but it also doesn't sound as boomy, and as I get in closer, it starts to get boomier, right? So there are a ton of tools that I have at my disposal in the mixer or in rack effects to help try to take care of those kinds of artifacts. I don't know, that's what I call them, artifacts. But, so I'm not going to bore you too much with microphones and all. But really, it all comes down to this in live sound. There are a couple main things that we pay attention to, sound guys, and that is the clarity and the naturalness of an instrument, followed by all of the other details. And then the last thing, it seems like, is finding places to sleep or eat or how to get paid. We forget those things a lot. So you're going to hear me turn on what I call a high-pass filter, what we all call a high-pass filter, and you're going to hear this low frequency start to go away as I go up like this. You can hear that? So you can hear this. This is a high-pass filter. I'm turning it down and up, and I'm changing the frequency that it's at. So you can hear it come back here. There's that. And I'm not changing my voice at all. This is just an electronic thing that I'm working with here. So normally, I'll just high-pass that there. You know, if I had better technology, I could make this big, but you guys are just going to have to deal with what I've got.
Start singing.
Okay. I won't do that again, sorry. Also, I have an equalizer at my disposal, so you can hear my voice sound and change a little bit different. You can hear things change like this. You can hear this happening here. And right now I'm boosting different frequencies in my voice. And what I can do with this tool is I can try to make my voice sound more natural.
Right, because when I'm talking to you like this, my voice sounds like it does. I step forward, it still sounds like it does. Put this microphone on a mic stand, though. It sounds like this here, and I step forward, it sounds totally different, right? So my job as a sound guy is to try to make it sound the same, whether you're singing here, or whether you're singing here, or the guys that sing this way for some reason. I don't know if they're looking at their bandmates, or if they're just think it's cool to sing into the side of the microphone, or the guys that have to sing like this. I don't know what that's all about. I think they think it looks cool, but it makes it sound terrible. So anyway, to continue with this boring stuff here, this is like super nerdy sound guy. In fact, I would talk about sound guy stuff with Vicky, my wife here, and she'd nerd. But you can hear, when I first walked in, this is how my voice sounded. And typically with my equalizer, I'll find there's some boomy frequencies that kind of happen in these microphones, and I can, with the equalizer, I can take some of those out. And a lot of times, like the letter K and the letter Z and you know, that kind of sound is pretty harsh sounding. So I know that lives at like 2.5 kilohertz. So then I can just kind of pull that out just a little bit, you know. And then those frequencies those are like the harsh frequencies, the ones that make you go like that, you know. And when I'm talking about frequencies, it isn't necessarily to bore you as much as it is to talk about like the different letters in the alphabet and the frequencies that they make. For example, vowels tend to be from 1,000 kilohertz down to, you know, those are your long, like O and A, ah, right? But the consonants are the things that make the crispier sounds, like the S and the Ks and the Zs and stuff like that. And our ears are especially attuned to hear consonants, especially your right ear. This is kind of a weird thing. Your right ear is tuned to hear consonants a little more. Your left ear is tuned to hear pitches and vowels a little more. Just kind of a weird anatomical thing. And so, because our ears are more sensitive to consonants,
a lot of times I'll take some of those frequencies out, so like the 2.5 kilohertz, especially in vocals, because they can sound too harsh sometimes. So people kind of go, they wince a little bit when somebody's singing loud into a microphone. And so, you know, don't ever walk up to the sound booth and be like, hey, take out a little 2.5K, would you? You'll probably get smacked. You likely will get smacked or told to F off. But also, you know, squeaky frequencies, like, I'm going to speak generally and broadly, but a lot of times female vocals sound different through microphones than men's do in general. Female vocals sometimes have a squeak to them that's like 4 kilohertz, you know, and I just pull that out and it kind of goes away and it's fine, right? So that wasn't about being sexist, it's just about a thing, sorry if everybody's offended now. Okay, so the next thing. Next thing has to do with dynamics. You can hear the difference. Like I did a demonstration here. I sound the same here as I do here, right? And I don't sound the same here as I do here. Especially like the K, 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 and O, O, O. O sounds louder than K, right? K, 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 O, O, O. And there's a thing I can do with dynamics to help clip off some of the high things that, you know, so check this out. So I can do like, I can talk really quietly like this, and it's going to sound like the same as even as I get louder. It's not going to change too much. So 1, 2, 1, hey, 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 hey. And as I get a little louder, it actually kind of stays the same. There's a dynamic controller inside of this if I want it to be there. It's called compression. And it's a little robot that goes, as it gets louder, it just turns down really quick. And I can adjust how fast it goes. I can adjust how far it goes. And those are the things that can kind of help me make adjustments from here to here, you know, and take off some of those highest, loudest sounds. Anyway, I feel like I vocally and with the microphone, I've overtalked the microphone thing. So one of the other things, the other parts about being a sound guy that are really important to me, and I don't know if this is dialed, you guys are just gonna have to hear me, I guess. Let's see here. Other really necessary things as being a sound guy, I mentioned attention to detail and all the other stuff that doesn't have to do with microphones. Like microphones are obviously really important, but there are so many other things that we navigate as sound guys that, and sound gals. I keep saying guys because I'm a guy, so it's male privilege, I guess. Sorry. So the other things that we navigate are on stage. There's a little bit of politics, and I don't mean like left and right. I mean like you're the sound guy, we're the musician, they're the audience, that's the promoter, that's the booking agent, that's the band manager. You have to learn how to navigate all of these different people that all want different things from you. As the sound guy, you're kind of getting shit from everybody. from the audience, you're getting shit from the band, you're getting shit from the promoter, the bar, staff sometimes. And you have to create and find balance between all of those different requests too. And so there's some simple rules to follow, like as a sound guy, you never touch the artist's instruments. Like if there's a guitar in your way, you say like, hey, can you move your guitar for me? You never grab it and move it. That's just part of the like taboo sort of stuff. Let's see. You look around at, I'm kind of jumping around, sorry, because I'm introverted and I'm nervous. So I'm gonna just keep jumping around. But you look around up here and you say, okay, what on the stage looks kind of effed up or messy to me? And then you deal with that. And for example, on this stage, one thing, and maybe you guys haven't noticed it, but it bothers me a lot, and I'm just gonna fix it really quick. This will only take a second, but you know, it's the second that I always take about every Wednesday or Thursday when I get here. And I don't know how often, or if anybody else ever notices that, but that's like the first thing I see every time I come in here. I see John's awesome looking pictures and I see the screen hanging down. I'm like, oh, we failed. Paying attention to other little details, like the curtains have to be perfect when I come in here. I don't know why, I just have to do it every time. I gotta light them right. And the cord mess, I look at my cord mess up here tonight and I'm like, I'm embarrassed. You know, so don't judge me too harshly on that stuff, by the way. The other things that sound guys are, we're kind of like, we're sort of like a wait staff. I mean, we're not waiters, but we cater to musicians, especially on bigger stages. You know, Ed's is not as big of a deal, but you get on a big stage with a big headliner, they kind of want things a certain way, and you have to, they send you a plot ahead of time with a map for where everything goes on stage, and if they don't walk in and it's like, not how it is on the map, there's hell to pay. So you got to figure that stuff out. Let's see. You know, at the end of the night at Ed's, it's the sound guy's job to bust the stage. Like there's glasses tipped over up here. We got to clean all that stuff up. You know, so being a sound guy isn't just like knowing about microphones. You kind of have like 100 little things that you got to do. Sometimes you're trapped in the corner over there, and well, I used to be trapped. Now I got this iPod. Or iPad, because everybody kept farting over there. And I had to, like, I needed to leave. And I got this iPad mixer now so I can walk around when that happens. I just leave. I don't know if that's appropriate, but, yeah. So anyway, it's true though, like, you know, anyway. Anybody else that's ever trapped in their one little spot when they're working would know, I guess. But I don't know how many other specific topics. I have like a million things. I could probably talk all day, but I shouldn't. I should. The last thing I'll talk about is, you know, it's important to know all your fundamentals as a sound tech and know all your basics. And I think it's important to be a musician too. Because the most important thing that doesn't have to do with microphones, doesn't have to do with paying attention to details, and the thing that is the most important is trust between the audience, trust with the musicians, and trust with the venue owner. The venue owner is worried about you being there and being reliable and it being a good quality product every time, whether it be sound or lights, production-wise. The audience, if they don't trust you, they'll come over and make all kinds of requests in your left ear, and that's really annoying. So you got to gain their trust right away. And plus, it's a better listening experience for everybody if the audience trusts you right off the bat. So I think that's a big thing. And then, of course, the musicians need to trust that you know what you're doing, because if they don't, in their head, it's something they're thinking about instead of thinking about making a great performance. They're thinking about, you know, is my guitar solo coming out there? You know, I'm playing here, can you guys, I wonder if you can hear it. Or, you know, are my vocals coming across, or do we hear a delay where there should be a delay, or is there reverb in between songs, kind of a Bush League move, you know. So stuff like that. I think after that I should probably open up for questions, because, like I said, I'm trying to be brief.
Okay,
Oh.
my sound guy's off.
Sorry.
There you go.
Before we open it up for questions, let's first give Jim a big. Oh,
I think it's on, John. Oh, wrong one. There we go. They're not labeled. I don't know. There you go.
I have 3 quick but important questions for you, sound guy.
While you're doing that, I'm going to just work on your vocal.
Check 1, 2, MasterCard, Visa, cash.
Yeah, exactly.
PayPal.
Okay, we're good.
3 questions, Jim. 1, do you know what all those knobs do? 2, can I charge my phone? And 3, where's the after party?
You know, I don't own any piece of gear that I don't know what every button and knob does. I think it's important, if you are going to own something and you're going to use it professionally, you know how every dial every light, what that does, what every button does. If you don't know, I mean, you got to know what those things do. That's the most important part of learning what you want to hear, and then using your tools to make that happen, right? And I know it's a joke, and everybody does like to ask the sound guy, do you know what all those knobs do? Yes. Well, I'll go to the third question. Do you know where's the after party? You might be surprised to know, but the sound guy doesn't ever get to go to the after parties. It's not that we don't get to, it's more that we're still here working while everybody else is partying. Sound guys are the, I'm gonna say maybe some venues, not Ed's, but some venues the most abused, the least paid, and the first in and last out. You know, that's not the case here. I'm just saying that no, Ed's is great. I'm not even saying that because I'm standing on the stage with my sound system and light system here, you know, and getting paid at the same time. Am I getting paid? I guess I'll decide later. Yeah. What was the second question?
Can I charge my cell phone?
Oh, can you charge your cell phone?
I know that drives you crazy.
Yeah. You know, at bigger festivals, when we put out our front of the house, we actually do run an auxiliary power sometimes, just for all thousands of people that ask to charge their cell phones at front of the house. We had one guy, I'll name him, Chad Wenzel, decided to come up to the stage at Boats and Bluegrass and plugged his coffee maker in. And you know, sounds innocent enough until all of a sudden, like it was enough to break the circuit, and the whole show went down until we unplugged the coffee maker and then turn the breaker back on. So, and then actually, side note, this just happened at Revival Festival, Shangri-La, which is like the Wookiee Foot Festival over in Harmony Park. Tubby Love, which is this guy, he's like peace and love dude, until I tell him he can't plug his coffee maker in on the stage. And I'm like, no, you really can't. He's like, what the fuck, you gonna bring the show down with this coffee maker? And I'm like, actually, yeah. You know, Tubby Love is all about love until I wouldn't let him plug in his coffee maker on stage. So there you go. So yeah, I guess you can plug in your phone. It's not going to bring the show down. If I have a spare outlet, they're not going to make me watch it the whole time. It's kind of like, can I put my purse here? Yeah, but if it gets kicked out of here, I'm not responsible. Okay, I'll take another question.
Yeah, any
If
other
there are any
questions?
more.
But I'm gonna use my microphone.
Hi, Jim.
Emily.
So, are you self-taught? Are most sound techs self-taught? Where does one go to learn such skills that the sound folks need?
Yeah, I am both a hack and also have some schooling. I started as a hack, and that's what I call a self-taught person, like me. I'm a hack guitar player. You know, I didn't go to school for guitar, but
You are school for guitar.
now I am a school for guitar. I teach, but I'm the reverse hack. As a sound guy, no, I started because in my first band, which was called Teosol, which was when I was in high school, we played bars all the time. I used to play 2 nights every weekend when I was 18, 19, and 20. Was going to school at Winona State, driving home every weekend, not to just hang out with mom and dad. I actually had gigs in bars. And my job was to help plug in the PA system, and I got excited about that. I don't know, plugging cords in and stuff was exciting. And then, went to school in Winona State, did music stuff, and then when I left Winona State, I went to Minneapolis and did an apprenticeship at a recording studio and got a little bit more of a formal education there, which talked about waveforms and talked about how electrons flow through mic cables and shielding and all of that stuff, and good microphones and the difference between different kinds of microphones. And that's a lot of really boring stuff that unless you're really specific, you don't want to hear all that stuff. But so I got a little more formal education at that recording apprenticeship at Echo Bay Studios in Minneapolis. Now it's called Winterland. Was there for a year, and then started running sound at the diviest bar in Minneapolis called The Terminal. And it's called The Terminal Bar, and that's because it's awful. And but started running sound there 3 nights a week for $40 and a pizza, and got a lot of teeth cutting there, and then moved back to Winona in 2004. Ken let me run sound at Rascals a few times, and had some of my own PA gear at the time, and then that started getting work. So it just kind of came out organically, and then over time, I think it's just being really retentive was helpful. So, but yes, I'm mostly self-educated. The internet's a magical thing, though. You can learn everything you want there. Oh, more questions.
Yeah, any other questions? One
Hello.
back here. Oh.
Way back here.
Hi there.
I'm the guy listening from way back here.
Yeah.
Seeing if I can hear.
Yeah.
All right, a few questions. Do you believe in the brown note?
Oh yeah. No.
All right. When it costs too much power.
What's funny is I saw a Mythbusters episode on the brown note, and they proved that it didn't exist, unfortunately. I wish that, every soundboard came with kind of a knob for the brown tone sometimes, but
What's a brown tone?
You may have
who's
to explain.
asking what the brown tone is?
Explain to him.
Well, okay, so there's a myth that's strong enough that it made it all the way to Mythbusters. I don't know if it was made popular on the show South Park or not, but it is a specific note that will make people involuntarily defecate themselves. It's a really low note. As far as I know, and as far as the Mythbusters know, it does not exist. But if it did exist, I would want the knob for that, just to have that option available at any moment.
As a second question, being a techie as well, what are some tips you'd want to give to artists about talking to a microphone?
Oh, like if other people are talking into a microphone?
The complete list, like dropping the microphone,
Oh, God.
talking around like this.
Yeah.
Go through your list.
Okay. Real quick things.